Alright, Marek, can you hear me?
I can.
Perfect, just double checking. I'm gonna pull up YouTube real quick just to keep an eye on that, make sure everything's going well. No, cancel. What you doing? Really? I would like to just sign out, maybe. Oh! Sorry, bear with me. As usual.
I can do that. Do not worry.
But you're not even Bear.
Exactly. That's why
You're
it'd be easy
lying
for
to
me.
me.
Oh, this is cool. I can roll dice on mine now.
On D&D Beyond?
D&D Beyond. Yeah.
Well, did I do that right?
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. I do all of Arbron's dice rolling on shit, on D&D Beyond, and I do all of Drake's on Real.
If someone's looking at the character sheet, can they see the rolls?
I don't know, actually. I've always wondered. I don't think so, but we could test that real quick.
Yeah.
Google's making me verify my YouTube account since I'm signing on Chrome for the first time to this YouTube account. What the hell? There's a dash? Oh, never mind. I don't have to put that in. Next. Done. Okay, sign me in, Guff. Alright, so that's going. Let me open up Day Beyond.
Okay, go into mine. That's probably the easiest way.
Yeah, campaigns, random. Ren, son of Trinith. Okay. I'm viewing it.
Alright. I am rolling.
I did not see any die, so I'll assume it's a no.
What's funny as shit is I got a natural 20 too.
Nailed it. Oh, perfect.
I rolled another one. No.
No, I'm not seeing it.
Okay, one more time. I'm gonna try rolling like
all of roll all of the dice.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll. Okay, I'm gonna roll the fuck ton. Because maybe if I cover the whole screen.
Funny thing, I saw him this time.
Did you?
No, I did not. Absolutely not.
Just making sure.
Yeah. Right. You can go ahead and take a long rest, by the way. If it affects you at all, I'm not sure. I know you did Eldritch Blast. That's a cantrip, though.
That's a cantrip. I don't give a fuck. I'll take it.
Yeah, exactly. So go ahead, though. I mean, it's been... Well, I mean, I guess we'll go ahead and get started, much to my dismay. Gotta start somewhere.
I am the excited.
Yes, as am I. Part of me, deep down, is also very excited about this, but the other part is me. So, last time on the Blackbriar Paradox, Rin, you, awoke in a mysterious dreamlike state, surrounded by various oddities such as a house in the darkness, a mysterious ringing noise, and, subsequently, a very hostile door. After you were blasted backwards into the darkness, a mysterious voice called out to you, seemingly worried, stating that you have to get back to Blackbriar. A mysterious boy appeared behind you, and an airborne creature blasted you back into the waking world, and you found yourself in an abandoned settlement amidst a volcano, which, by your reckoning, was potentially settled by some sort of elvish race. After a brief investigation, you discovered a few things: that the settlement had seemingly come under attack by some large beast with claws that was also capable of producing fire offensively, maybe defensively, but fire was certainly wielded. That something definitely was out of the ordinary, as there were hardly any bodies remaining of the settlers, and those that you did find were clad in some sort of ceremonial-type robe made entirely out of feather-like bits of leather, And lastly, you discovered several cracks in the buildings and ground, which appeared to expand outwards from the keep atop the town. On one side of any various crack, the ground would appear old and worn, and on the other, the stone would appear new as if freshly lain. You also found what appeared to be the house from the dark place, in which are in much worse condition than when you originally saw it, finding signs of recent injury, as well as pulled-up floorboards where something was probably once hidden. Upon finding the exit and determining the name of the town, being Terrafell, Trinith appeared and tasked you with heading to the swamp city of Blackbriar to investigate a strange energy in the air, which had been reported to him by one of his other children who had recently passed through there. Also, Trinith stated that he had been looking for you for close to a week with no avail, eventually locating you at Terrafell when you woke up in the hole. Very mysterious. And so now, with Slash in tow, you headed through the stone archway and made your way down a winding mountain path, which, after about a day of travel, saw you out into the high forest at the base of the mountain in which you awoke. You did note how hidden the entrance to the path which led up to Terrafell was. Like, it was very, coming out of it, it's like, oh, of course there's an entrance here, but, like, turning around to look for it, like, it was most definitely a hidden entrance up to this city. You're not sure if you could have found it, even if you were looking for it. In fact, the path did not look like it had seen a traveler for at least a few years, yet you awoke there all the same. Not long after, you came across a small homestead, which directed you to a smaller settlement located along the Unicorn Run River, just north of Blackbriar. Travel around the Star Mounts was quite time-consuming, but eventually you arrived at the settlement and chartered a boat to sail you down the river. You were told that the city was located near the mouth of the High Forest and acted as a sort of transition for the Unicorn Run River to turn into the Delimbir River. Now you travel down the river on a boat, rolling closer to your assigned heading. Blackbriar awaits. And now, after that long lead-in, I shall read you another long lead-in.
Okay.
Do you have any questions about any of that catch-up, I guess?
No.
Okay. And with that, your boat glides down the tranquil river, producing nary a wake. For such a large body of flowing water, this inherent lack of turbulence seems almost unnatural. Alas, you move down the river at a good pace, befitting of the craft upon which you travel. A small boat, which favors length over width, with a well-worn canopy covering the aftmost portion of the vessel. The captain, an aged halfling of little words, and the only other being aboard the ship, steers the vessel from beneath the canopy, using a long pole that extends from the rear of the craft. He sits by the pole, keeping a blissful eye on the trees that border the river. Similarly, and uncharacteristically, you find yourself lost in thought, staring at the edges of the river into the high forest, into the vibrant leaves, the flowing roots of the trees, which seem to guide your eyes on an entirely different journey. You begin to think of ways to translate this beauty into an orcish love song. Surely it's never been done before, right? Like, surely there's no better genre to convey such a tranquility with pounding drums and harsh power chords, and a fish the size of your arm lands on the deck next to you, snapping you out of any thought you might have been engaged in. With a flutter, Slash lands promptly on top of it, looking at you with his head cocked to the side.
Huh.
Kind of like ruffles his feathers, and he's just sitting atop this fish, which is, I mean, it's about as big as your arm. Just a huge, fat fish.
Is it alive still?
Yep. It's very haphazardly kind of trying to fight its own weight out of water, kind of slapping against the deck, but he's sitting on top of it, kind of holding it down.
And that is how you catch a fish.
Flutters a little bit.
Slash, I don't know why a fish did this.
He looks over the edge of the boat, and you see kind of down the river a ways, there's a bunch of other birds that look nothing like Slash. Birds nonetheless. Kind of like duck-like, diving into the water and emerging with fish similarly. And he just kind of looks at him and looks back at you and cocks his head.
Ah. That's a good reason. So, dinner. And I pull out a dagger and proceed to put it out of its misery.
Oh god. It just gives you a very fish-looking eye kind of stare. And you put it out of its misery.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, food.
Flash just starts pecking it on the head.
Good boy,
Hmm.
Slash.
He kind of
With an S.
like flutters off and takes back off into the air.
So let's see. So I want to gut it and fucking cook it on this boat.
No.
What kind of boat is it? Is it a boat that like?
It's a small boat.
All
So
right.
imagine kind of like a longer gondola, a little wider as well. Something you'd see kind of, well, going down a river, like very much so like a river boat. Um,
Then in that
it's
case,
wooden, so you
what kind
probably
of fit?
don't want to
What
cook
kind
it.
of fish is this?
It is a large river-dwelling fish, so somewhat like salmon-y, but slightly larger.
Okay. So I'm gonna cut some fillets off, put some aside for Slash to eat,
Mm-hmm.
and then get some fillets, and then use prestidigitation to give it salt flavoring and then lemon flavoring.
Oh
And I'm like,
boy. Mm.
sashimi.
Sashimi. The captain is kind of watching this older halfling gentleman. He's kind of got scruffier hair, bushy eyebrows. He's just like watching the edges of the river and occasionally just like flipping an eye at you and then back, and maybe you catch him licking his lips a little bit.
Well, first I try it. Is it good?
Give me a Constitution saving throw.
All right. I'm gonna go with this is probably not gonna be good, but let's see. Bah! Well, the roll is good. What the fuck do I add to that? Let's see. Con save. I get a
Plus
plus
one.
1. 19.
It's great, actually. There's nothing wrong with it. It's really good fish.
And then I cut some off. I flavor it the way I flavored it, and I go, "My good man, would you like to
Yeah.
try some of the fish that I caught myself?"
Well, I suppose I wouldn't be. Yeah, sure, why not? And he kind of like ties the pole down so that it's not moving around, and he kind of stretches. He's been holding it for a while, and he extends a hand outwards towards you.
And I hand him some.
Oh, excellent. He takes it and very gingerly, kind of like, he doesn't want to seem rude or messy or anything. He kind of picks at it and cautiously holds it up to his mouth and takes a bite before going, it's quite good.
Thank you. Thank you. I learned to cook by eating and liking the
Right,
way
yes.
things tasted.
I believe that's how everyone gets started. Um, per, yes.
By the way, don't don't feel the need to put on airs around me. If you feel as though you need to eat more vigorously and want more, feel free, be yourself.
Oh no, boy, that's not necessary. I was raised in a manner that, I like to appear nice before people.
Nice is all relative, isn't it?
I suppose, but I suppose it makes me feel better about myself. So, if
Well,
it's no offense to you, I'd like to continue to,
no, 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 no offense.
uphold me
Just wanted
manners,
to
as
make
it were. I've got to set a good example for the younger generation. Yes.
I suppose so. And I put my feet up. I like sit down, put my feet up like on the fish. It's always good to set a good example for the younger generation.
Yes. Um, I'll be arriving shortly. Perhaps get some rest, maybe, or I don't know, do something. He unties the steering rod and kind of gets back at it, settles back into his reclined steering position, I suppose.
I I get real comfortable with my hands behind my head, feet up around the fish. Uh,
It's just
uh,
like beneath your boots.
mm. See, I don't quite worry about getting dirty because I can just clean it with magic. And yeah, I start just relaxing. Tilt down my hat a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and I keep that way, and just like one eye's out, and I look at Slash, and I'm like, keep watch.
Slash flies by you with like two or three of those birds in tow. They're like chasing him. Just like just like goes by you real quick, and then it's just like Just like a bunch of those birds come flying past as well, and
And it's like, do I detect distress from
no,
my familiar?
absolutely not.
Or
He's having the time of his life.
okay, then I leave it. I get first
Hmm.
to I put up a drumstick, and then it's like no, it's fine.
Yeah. You're like, meh. Yeah.
It's fine.
Okay. And so you and your guy travel down the river. Um, and for a while, it continues to feel very serene, but at a certain point, you notice a distinct expression of sourness wash over the face of this guide. Um, he's kind of been watching the edges of the river and very blissfully, and at a certain point, you kind of see him become a little more tense, I suppose, and he's definitely kind of like, and within a minute of this, you become similarly aware of a smell in the air, a smell of rot and decay, which metaphorically punches you in the face. I imagine it'd be kind of hard to stay relaxed, I suppose. With Yep. With little transition, the peaceful, seemingly endless groves that have managed to capture your attention thus far give way to a vast swamp which extends endlessly on both sides of the once tranquil river. The green forest floor gradually disappears under the water, which now gives way to the post-like cypresses which stand erect and unwavering amidst the flow of the river, which has increased. It's a little more rapid, not quite rapids, but there's definitely more of a current in the river now. The water darkens, as does the sky, which has suddenly become hidden by a dense cloud cover. You watch as the last little bit of sunlight slides off the deck of the boat and into the now opaque river. Down the river a ways, you spot your first glimpses of what you can only imagine to be the city. A looming wall of darkened stone slowly fills your field of view as you approach, right up until you pass through one of the two large, rounded gateways, which serve to let the ships through. As you pass under the wall, you begin to feel several things. First of all, you feel threatened, which is most certainly due to the looming blackish gray structure, which has completely encompassed your field of view. Secondly, you feel, yep.
I would say a little bit before we get in there,
Mm-hmm.
I would have at this point put up like a handkerchief or a piece of cloth
Yeah,
and prestidigitated it to give off the odor of like some sort of citrus fruit, like
good idea.
lemon or orange.
Have you ever been in
Probably
like just a nasty bog, just like a gross
I
swamp?
have
Just
I
that
have
like
I've,
mud and like something probably died. It's just that like awful musky, just like smell, you know?
and I know from experience that like a good citrus because like right next to
Hmm.
those bogs were like orange groves when I
Yeah.
saw it,
Hmm.
and they really helped. So
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm thinking like combination lemon and orange, just like on that piece of cloth, just to help.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Okay. So you feel as you go through this gateway, right? You're kind of.
Hmm.
Oh, let me send you this picture, by the way. I forgot to send you.
Oh, please.
I'll send you this, and then I will prep to send you the next picture. This is your title card for this episode. And let me find it. Let me find it.
As we go to the dates, it's a title card.
Where the hell did that go? Hold up. I am having a strong. Trying to find a picture in my gallery, which is not in my. Oh well, I'll send it. Okay. Either way, so you're going through this archway,
Yes.
and it's just you kind of feel threatened. Um, I suppose I would allow like a history check if you wanted, because it seems there's kind of contrasting reports as to whether or not you've been here before.
Hmm. Okay.
Oh, there it is.
Let's see. Where is my history? Okay. Yeah, sure. I'll do that.
Okay.
17?
17. Yep. Okay. So yeah, you get that threatened feeling, and you're not entirely sure why. I mean, it is kind of claustrophobic entering into the city through the river, through these kind of gateways. Um, but there's something else that you can't quite pin, kind of like a familiar feeling. Like when you
Like
like
deja
you've
vu?
kind of deja vu, yeah. Like so you've been through a stressful experience in a place, and you go
Hmm.
back to that place, and it's like, but you're not quite
Ah.
sure why.
Kind of PTSD.
A little
Like,
bit, yeah, a little bit, but like you don't really have a memory of this place
reason.
that you can remember. It's just kind of a feeling
Yeah.
it gives you. But it's also just a very gothic setting from what you can kind of tell. Um, In
So
addition to that,
we're a little out of place.
yes,
Me and Slash.
I think you're entirely out of place. Out of place. That's the word I was gonna say. Yes. So you feel that feeling of kind of slightly threatening, but you also do get a vague sense of familiarity about this view, specifically entrance through this tunnel. As you go through it, it's definitely a deja vu type situation. The walls and the rounded roof, which encompass your ship, and then your ship finds its way out of the other side of this massive stone wall, which surrounds you, and you get your first glimpses at the city of Blackbriar from the river. Rin,
Wow.
son of Trinith, welcome to Blackbriar. The city in the swamp, of which you have traveled very far to reach, sprawls outwards from the western bank of the river, which is to your right. A large structure, which you could assume to be an old watchtower, towers above the other buildings on the edge of the river. Another looming wall, similar in height to the outer wall, borders the edge of the eastern bank to your left. You cannot discern what is behind it. The halfling steers the vessel into a narrow canal on the right side of the river, bordered on either side with docks and teeming with people. Canopies are strung overhead, and market stalls line the narrow passage, selling everything from fish and weapons, tools, armor, clothing. The halfling steers the ship aside, and several men, some of whom are dressed a little better than others. It's kind of a, from what you can tell, there's a variety of people here, in this kind of market way, which is set slightly below the city. Think like Riften from Skyrim. How it has that kind of like underdock layer, a lot like that.
Okay.
So yeah, men rush and hold your boat in place, and the halfling kind of like gives another stretch, and oh well, son, this appears to be your stop. If you need lodging, I suggest the Owl. He points to the watchtower, which kind of looms overhead, or what you can assume is the building located below it. I know the owner. She's a good lass. Knows how to look after her customer. Tell her Marcus sent you.
Marcus.
Marcus. That's not me. It's me brother. She likes him a lot more than I.
Oh.
Either way, should get you
friend.
some special treatment.
Oh, well,
Yes.
thank you, my friend.
Oh, no
And
problem.
You know what? You could keep the rest of the fish. No charge.
Are you
And
sure?
then I get off. Oh, I'm sure.
Okay. All right then. Keep your wits about you. It's not the safest place. All right, boys. And he, kind of gives a signal, and they like push the boat away, and he just kind of gingerly steers on out down this little canal and exits on the left. In that picture, it'd be kind of like behind where that bridge is. There's an exit.
Oh, I
so.
can tell.
Yeah.
I'm really good at I could see what you're trying. This picture's great.
Thank you.
I can
Yeah.
I can tell everything you're saying. But did he give me her name?
No, he just said the owner.
Okay. Okay, as he's pulling away, what's her name?
He just like just goes right on down the river. He's running down the river. No, he just sails
Thank
on.
you.
He's already kind of at the end of the canal.
I figured.
Yeah.
I thought of it too late.
Yes, she's the owner, and she is a woman seemingly, unless gender pronouns
Seemingly.
are odd here.
I mean, I come from the fucking Feywild, so that's nothing new.
Yeah. So, in this kind of narrow marketplace, which is, really packed up against the walls of these docks and stuff, there are just lots of people moving about from stall to stall. I'm assuming you're kind of walking along
Yeah.
by now. As you pass certain people, it's like, "Oi, how much for the owl?" And just people are screaming things at you left and right, trying to sell you on.
He is beautiful, thank you.
You just sell you on, like, you're just like, "I've got the finest clothes in all of Faerun," and it's like,
I
it's like
do, don't I?
Not the finest clothes in all of Faerun.
That's what I figure. That's why I'm like, I do, don't I? Yes.
He just like that one guy. He's like holding up like a tunic, and he just kind of like puts it down like, oh. And he just turns around and goes back to his stall. There are stairs, from what you can tell, about every 100 feet or so. There's about like 100 feet between each set of stairs. You were probably about 20 feet where you got off of the boat onto the dock from one of the sets of stairs.
I'll take the first set.
Okay, excellent. So you emerge from the stairway to see a street teeming with people. going to and fro, and the picture you would have come out in front of that building next to the really large building on the right, the building to the left of the that kind of
Mhm.
warehouse style building. You came out kind of like in front of that building. Um,
Okay.
so yes, teeming with people, people going to and fro from shop to shop. By the river, buildings of wood and stone loom overhead and stretch onwards out of sight down long roads ahead of you. Ahead of you, speaking of, on the right side of the road, the river on your left, you see the buildings which sits at the base of the watchtower, a large barn-like structure with a sign above the door which reads, "The Drunken Owl Tavern and Inn." People are filing in and out of the small door. It seems a very popular joint. You hear sounds, just upbeat music and rowdy tavern goers. People are singing along and people coming out of the door, embracing each other and yeah.
So what I hear is money and fame and obvious information drop along with lodging. Got it.
Yeah, yeah. Rin's
Yes,
eyes just
this
like
is.
perfect. Okay, so you do feel, and this I'll reiterate this kind of as you go along, but there is definitely a vibe to this city, just in the street, the energy, especially out here before you enter into the tavern. It's very grim and just like people don't look happy necessarily. They're just kind of going about their shit. Yeah.
That's how I imagine it, like walking up the stairs, like, oh, this place, okay, yeah, no. And then get to the top, it's like, ah, money! And then, so that's like the one thing that's like cheered me up right now. But like,
hmm
Ren's like, this kind of sucks.
Yeah, it's infectious. I
But
mean, and you feel it like in your person, just this kind of like almost like a dread. Uh,
we're very, like, we Fey, because, I'm totally Fey.
yeah, a fae, of course.
Yeah, we Fey really emotionally driven. Sometimes just guided by the emotions around, and it's infectious.
In other words, it suck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it sucked, man. Let's go get money. Let's cheer
Let's do
myself
it.
up for now,
Let's do
and
it.
like
So, yeah,
pay for my own room with the shit I get. Let's go.
yeah, definitely. Pay for your room with money. So yeah, so you enter into that large kind of barn-like building through a pair of saloon-style swinging doors, and you are instantly, I mean, like it's like passing through a portal into a different world. You are just instantly greeted by this energy that's not present outside. It's like walking into a warm room on a cold day.
Oh, it's,
Yeah.
like my I walk in, like the energy all changes, and like my symbol just like shakes, like this is just like, oh, calm down.
And just to reiterate, that is the symbol of Trinith, right? What was the
No,
symbol
no,
on
no,
your
no,
on your
symbol.
drum?
No, no, I
Or
meant like my
literally like
symbol.
the
It's a
symbol.
literally it's a
That's
symbol.
right. Of course.
My little, I got a drum, a cymbal, and the other underside is a steel drum.
Okay, right. That's good. I'm glad you clarified that. That's nice. Nice for me to know.
We've talked
I
about
know. I'm
this.
just very forgetful. Go with it. Yeah. So once inside, it's like one large room. Let me actually. Do I have this on my phone? I have a map for this. I don't know if I saved it to my phone or not. Well, I might need to do that real quick. I will. So I'll keep going. So it's like kind of like a large barn-like structure, um,
Mhm.
split into two-ish stories. Large sort of indoor balcony that um, borders the walls above you. So instead of like a second story, it's more just like an inner balcony, which is kind of reminiscent of the outer balcony. There are two balconies, like a porch and a balcony on the outside. There's kind of like a rectangular hole in the middle, I guess, with like a chandelier hanging down, kind of metal, candle lit. People everywhere packed, having seemingly just a fucking great time. And oh, excuse me. On to your right, you can see a stage up against the wall. Um, kind of a smaller stage. There is a band already on it playing music. Comprised of it's like a half elf on a lute, right, and like a gnome on a drum, and there's a human on a flute, a lute, flute, and a drum.
Oh, I
Um,
heard you.
hmm And yeah.
I'm, it's like upstarts, all of them.
What? No, what are you talking about? Oh, there it is.
all three of my instruments. How dare they?
They're trying to steal your thing, dude. You can't let them do it. Yes, so to your left, the stage is to your right. To your left, you can see, kind of through the crowd, there is a bar that borders the left wall, which is kind of like the shorter wall of this rectangular room. Saving this to my camera roll. Save image so I can send it to you. Okay. You should be getting that now. So yes, it is darker in here,
Ah,
lit by candles, and such. Torches on the walls, kind of more like lanterns, I suppose, candlelit lanterns, kind of brightening up the place. But it's a very cozy atmosphere, especially considering the atmosphere outside. Um,
I would like to go up to the bar.
okay, so you definitely kind of have to weave your way through some tables and some people moving from the
Pardon,
tables. Yeah, drunken
pardon, pardon,
party
pardon,
goers.
pardon,
Yes.
pardon, pardon, pardon.
Oh.
And I half expect like Slash to be like on my shoulder or head.
Yeah. Sorry, I just made a roll, the first roll of the campaign for me, and I got a fucking natural 20. Which
Oh,
is
nice.
not great for you, I'll say. Not awful, I suppose. Um, okay.
Oh,
Do you have any like gold pouches on you?
yep,
Anything? Okay. That's nice. So, just like a coin purse or something.
yeah.
Okay. Um, yeah, so I mean, you're just kind of, going past people through a crowd, and a little like
Uh-huh.
kind of like a gnome dude. He's got like a mullet, actually. Maybe it catches your eye a little bit. Um, just
I will
oh,
say,
excuse me.
I I will say,
Yeah.
I do have a passive perception of 19, which
Mhm.
he might have a negative. He might. All right.
Yeah. So this little gnome dude just kind of passes by you. Oh, pardon me, and he just passes by you. But you do see the bar, um, in front of you, and at the bar, something catches your eye. Nothing huge, I suppose, but you see who is behind the bar, right? Um,
Mhm.
there's this woman. She's wearing cream-colored brown, just kind of like very very I guess like I mean bar maiden clothes, kind of kind of looser, flowing, very befitting of her form, I suppose. Um, she's hurriedly serving drinks, and you kind of she catches your eye immediately because just even in this like dark room, she kind of radiates this like soft glow. Maybe not actually, but her fair complexion, blonde hair, which she has drawn into a braid that runs down her back, definitely draws your eye towards her. You notice how effortlessly she handles the patrons whom stand or sit at the bar. She kind of hurriedly, is like sliding drinks down and running over and like whispering into an employee's ear or something, and then they go like they'll give her a nod and run off into the crowd, past you even maybe, but so she's tending the bar, and you eventually make your way through the crowd and arrive at the bar.
Um, I pulled down the cloth or whatever has been covering my face,
Mm-hmm.
and just put a hand up, waiting for my my turn.
Mm-hmm. She kind of speeds past you at one point. She doesn't stop or anything. Just kind of in passing. She's like, "Hi, what can I get you?"
Hi, are you the owner?
I am. Do you need something?
I was told to say Marcus sent me.
Oh, Marcus. Okay. And she kind of gives you her attention now. She's kind of like slides a like a heavy wooden mug of some sort of ale down the all the way down the bar to a guy who catches it without even looking. Um, and she kind of
Huh.
like stops in front of you, breathes herself. She's like, "Yep. Do you do you need something, or do you just passing through?"
I wouldn't mind a place to stay and a place to perform.
You're a performer, are you?
I am.
Oh, excellent. We need performers. Um, what do you play?
I play drum mostly, but I also am quite proficient in lute and flute.
Right, right, okay. Um, tell you what. That band over there, they're about to finish up. Probably like I don't know, 5 minutes maybe. You take the stage after them, right?
Hmm.
Um, sure, why not? It'll reduce your room maybe by a little bit, depending on how you perform. Maybe it'll get you it free. Just saying.
I like that. I like the sound of this.
All right, it's good. That's good. It's the only deal you're gonna get, so. 1 second. And she like goes down to the other end of the bar and like starts filling a mug full of ale and kind of turns around, whips it at a guy, and comes back to you and just kind of rests on the bar, kind of maybe even taking a breather a little bit.
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
So, what can you tell me about this place? My first time here, I think.
Shit, really? Oh god. I'm sorry for one. Um, do you what? Who are you again?
Oh, my apologies. I am Rin, son of Trinith.
Right. I recognize the and she like does her hand like over her face, kind of, mimicking just your general look, I suppose. Trinith,
Hmm.
son of. And what did you say?
I said, when I asked her the
Just
question.
now, like just now, yeah.
Rin, son of Trinith.
Rin, son of Trinith, right? She's like, oh, okay, another one, huh? All right,
What
well,
do you? Another one of what?
one of one of your, I don't know, it's like some chick came through a few weeks ago, was asked a similar question.
I
Okay,
see.
I'll tell you what, I can't tell you much about the city proper. If you want to know anything like what she wanted to know, I'm not that in depth. Um, I can tell you it's not a place you want to stay here very long though, so maybe there's that. Um, I
Why's
sent her
that?
down to just a lot of reasons. I'm sure you'll come to find them out. Uh, People don't like to stay here longer than they can. We'll just leave it at that, right? But
Does
I
seem like
sent.
quite the dreary place.
It's not great. A lot of people come here and they say they're going to stay for just a little bit, and then they just get stuck, kind of. Nobody knows why it happens. Happens for a lot of reasons, actually. I mean, nothing too predictable, we'll say, but people end up staying here for longer than they like, most of the time for the rest of their lives, and you know, so maybe just make sure you've got an escape plan, right? Um, I tell you
Right.
what though, I've got a friend, works, more in the city, um, Dr. Clockwork, we call him, really cool guy. He's kind of our historian, really. I referenced your sister down to him, so maybe you could go see him too. He could probably answer your questions better than I could.
I appreciate that.
Hmm? Anything to
And what
drink while
was?
we wait, or just?
Oh, sure. What do we have on tap?
Okay, well we've got some ale. Nothing special, unless you want the cheap stuff, in which case it's especially awful.
Hmm.
But it's cheap, so that's not bad. Um,
Wine,
Sorry mate, we just ran out actually. Such a
cider.
precious commodity. No cider, sorry. We do have our home brew, which we cook here in the back actually. Um, a lot of people passing through kind of like to give that a go.
Sure. Why not?
Oh, very good. All right, that will be 7 silver pieces.
Sure. Let me get that. And I go for my coin pouch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
there.
Ah, I appear to have been robbed.
Already?
Never mind.
Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
that was quick.
Like I
I
said,
just got here.
don't stay here long.
Yeah.
As if you need
Well,
another
here's
reason.
here's here's hoping I do better on stage. Ha.
She looks at you like not even joking. She just kind of gives you a glare like.
Ha.
Right, yeah. Okay. Um so do you have the money or do you just
No, no, I don't. I
okay.
don't. So,
Right. Um
tab? start a tap for
Just
while I'm in town?
I'll tell you what. Yeah, why not? Do you still want that on brew or something?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Hi, Kelly, and she calls over a like a half elf waiter, kind of typical atron lord, apron,
Hmm.
and she kind of like leans in close. She's like, "Hi, go in the back. Get sorry, all right." And he goes in the door to the kind of like the leftmost side of the bar,
Hmm.
behind the bar, and comes out with a mug full of a ale-like liquid that you can tell, and kind of hands it to her, and she turns around and hands it to you.
Thank you. And your name again, ma'am?
Oh, I am Rhiannon.
Rhiannon. And how would you spell that? Again?
Rhiannon.
Try Nnon. Okay.
Rhiannon.
Well, to you, Rhiannon. And I
Right.
like
Nice to meet you.
put up put up the like, hey,
Mhm.
I'll take a sip.
Okay. Okay, so it's called the homebrew, as you
Uh-huh.
heard her mention. And the second the liquid hits your lips,
It's gonna be
something
piss, isn't it?
it's not going to be piss.
Oh.
It's much. Who do you think I am, Logan?
Yes,
It's
for a second.
um much much better than that. You
Okay.
taste initially the taste of an ale, right? A nicer ale,
Uh,
nothing bad, quite high quality actually. Um, and it lingers there, such as that taste does, before suddenly you're kind of hit with this nostalgic kind of feeling, and then all of a sudden just these wild tastes, things that remind you of the Feywild, of of home, kind of where you're from, just invade the taste, and you're just kind of overcome slightly by this feeling of just like returning back to that place which you have memories of home from. It's very
it's
pleasant,
like
actually.
it's like sucking on. I know it's gonna not gonna sound pleasant for everyone, but it's like sucking on warheads and Smarties because it's the Feywild. But then there's
Feywild.
also so
Yeah.
it's like that. It's like that punch in the mouth, and then it like kind of goes into that warm home cooked food. It's like
Hmm.
and then like it's then you can like you can like smell taste, and it just
Oh
smells
yes.
crazy good,
Oh yes.
like amazing, like the most like the fruitiest homie is like apple pie that
Hmm.
had sex with every other fruit.
Oh, it's very euphoric, I think, a taste. Definitely magical in its brewing.
Man, that whole mug went down really quick after that sip.
what what in a small mug? Do you down the whole thing?
Yeah, I would
Okay.
have to for this first time because
Do
what
give
you
me a
just
con save
described.
then.
I will have, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't want to do that. That's why I said sip,
Definitely.
but you described it so great. 15.
Okay, you're like Legolas. You feel a tingling in your fingers. You feel
Mm,
like you just downed a thing of ale, but you're not. You're hardly even tipsy even, so you should be okay.
okay, good.
Yeah.
Whew.
Hmm.
Oh, that loosened me up.
At this point, you notice Rhiannon is kind of like looking over your shoulder at something and like making eyes and kind of like motioning with her head a little bit, and you
I
see that,
look.
yeah, she kind of catches your eye looking at her, and she kind of snaps out of it, like gives you a little smile, and then I assume you turn around,
Mm,
and you see that gnome with the mullet and kind of like the chin strap beard, kind of like duck behind somebody in the crowd.
let. Do you know that gnome?
Unfortunately, I think he's done something terrible to you.
You think he's the one that robbed me?
I think he's the one that robbed you. Yes.
I will have a conversation with him.